Welcome to it. Welcome to a Tuesday night edition of Flamesnation Live, and welcome to the season. We are back and ready to go. We are back twice a week with me, Pat Steinberg, here in the Sportsnet 960 downtown studio. Ryan Pike will be with us once a week as well, and we are back talking Flames hockey on Flames Nation Live. Hopefully you have had a wonderful summer. Rookie camp starts this week. Training camp, main camp starts in less than a week. It's good to have everybody back. Who do we have in so far? Noah, first in. JF, Sasha, James, Shane, Charles, and Scott all in with us. And that's just who's saying hi. More on the stream right now. Get your questions, your topics in right now. If you want to talk some Flames hockey, Flames Nation Live is brought to you by our friends at DoorDash. Each and every edition of Flames Nation Live brought to you by DoorDash. And if you use the code FNLiveDD, you're getting yourself a pretty awesome offer for your first-time order at DoorDash. I'm not going to lie, I was on vacation. I did it in Quebec City. I used DoorDash, used the code FNLiveDD, and you get yourself 25% off your first order and free delivery. So if you are looking for a good meal tonight, this week, going forward, use that code FNLiveDD for 25% off your first order and free delivery. There's just a lot to talk about right now in Flames Nation, and there's a lot to talk about with what's going on with the team. There's a lot to talk about with some of the signings they've made. We'll get to that in just a second. But let's start here. Let's start with the news that came out today, and that is the news of the rookie roster that is going to start when training camp, I guess the first phase of training camp starts a little bit later on this week. They'll do fitness testing on Wednesday, and then they will get things started with this rookie roster with two intra-squad games, two exhibition games, a game on Saturday night in Edmonton and a game on Monday night in Calgary, both against the Oilers. You can watch them on CalgaryFlames.com, and of course, you'll be able to listen to them with me, with Derek Wills, with Peter Labardius on Sportsnet 960 The Fan. Looking forward to getting our first broadcast done of the season. In terms of the rookie roster, the guys that are going to draw the most attention, Jacob Pelche, Connor Zary, the two lowest numbers at forward there, 47 and 49. I think no question about it, in net, Dustin Wolf. And then on the blue line, I think there's a lot of people excited about Poirier, excited about Kuznetsov. I don't know about those guys and their NHL prospects for this year. In terms of guys that have potential NHL prospects for this year, I think we're talking about Zary and Pelche. Of that roster, those are the two guys that I think that you can talk to or talk about when talking about potential chances of them making the roster. Now, the thing is, and I'm curious as to, I've seen some of the comments on our text line at Sportsnet. I've seen lots of it on Twitter. The thing is, I just don't know, going into this year's training camp, going into this year's rookie camp, I don't know. I like Charles writes on our chat, soothe my angst over the horrible depth signings last week. I don't know if they're horrible. I think Brad Richardson can still play. I think Michael Stone's a really good option as your number 7D. I'm not as sure as to what Eric Goodbranson is at this stage of his career, but the thing that, I'm trying to think of the right word. The thing that struck me the most when seeing Richardson signed, when seeing Goodbranson signed, and even going back earlier, the acquisition of Pitlick, the signing of Trevor Lewis. One of the things I was really interested in this year as to whether or not younger players were going to get more of a run on this team, whether it was Glenn Godden, Adam Ruzicka, Jacob Pelche, Connor Zary, Connor Mackey, Matthew Phillips, Yusuf Alamaki, whoever you want to point to. Were they going to get more of a run on this team, or were there going to be more open spots? And the answer to that question is, as of right now, no. And that's, for me, it's slightly disappointing. I wanted to see some of those guys get shots. I get that the Flames are trying to go back to the postseason and trying to be better than they were last year. And I get that this head coach is very much a coach that has always leaned or skewed more veteran. But I guess my one hope would be still is that whether it be by injury, whether it be on merit, whatever the case may be, I think it behooves the Flames. I think it's important for the Flames to give some of these guys a real opportunity and get them some real NHL playing time this year. I think Mackey, I think it would be important for Mackey to play 30 to 40 NHL games this year. I think it would be important for Glenn Godden to play 30 to 40 NHL games this year. Adam Ruzicka to play 20 to 30. Like this helps the team going forward. And so I hope that some of these signings, and I know if I can understand if you're skeptical, I hope that some of these signings that we've seen don't completely close the door. I can't sit here and sugarcoat it. It's going to be harder for some of those younger players to make the opening day roster or to get significant playing time. But I just hope that there is still, and maybe they have to make it a concerted effort. I just hope that there is still the opportunity for that to happen because I think it's important for young players to see significant NHL playing time this year. That's kind of my take on it. Get to some of your comments in just a second, but wanted to remind you that this segment of Flames Nation is brought to you by our friends at Deuce Vodka. You can always check out Deuce at your local liquor store. They are the Celebration Vodka. Check them out at your local liquor store, wherever your fine spirits are sold. And if you can't find Deuce Vodka wherever your fine spirits are sold, make sure you get on them to bring Deuce Vodka in. Let's read some of our comments. Jason says, I'd like to see what Shinvall can do as well. Yes, that's another one. I didn't mention Johannes Shinvall as one of the interesting names on that rookie graphic, but I'm with you. I have not seen Johannes Shinvall play. I don't know a lot about him. I can't give you a good scouting report on him. So I also am really curious to see what he's all about for sure. Another question from Jason, where are the Flames with Shillington's trade request? Shillington's a guy that I didn't mention. He's kind of the forgotten man in all of this with bringing back Stone, by adding Goodbranson, with Valimaki and Mackey in the mix. Shillington's 9 on the depth chart right now. Where are they with the trade request? I don't know. I honestly don't know. I don't think that they are purposely not trading him. But I also think that they look at it and say, we still have team control. And if there's a deal that comes up where Shillington's a part of that makes sense, we'll make the deal. And I even think that they probably have made some calls trying to accommodate the request because it is believed that Shillington has requested a trade. We know that he has requested a trade in the past. So it wouldn't surprise me if they have made some calls, but I don't think they're just going to give him away. And you coming off a year where he didn't play a whole lot, AHL or NHL, you're probably looking to get him some games this year before maybe you can start going down that road. That would be my best handicap of the situation right now. Ron says, let the older guys set the bar. Sutter is a teacher, and look, that's very much the philosophy that Daryl Sutter is going on. There's no doubt about it. He very much is going on. As a young player, you have to earn it. Nothing is going to be given. There's not going to be any entitlement. And he's going to lean on his veterans, whether it be Matthew Tkachuk and Johnny Gaudreau and Sean Monahan and Noah Hannafin and that group of veterans, or guys like Coleman, guys like Lewis, guys like Richardson, guys like Goodbranson. Yeah, he's going to get those guys to lead the way. There's no doubt about that. That is very much accurate, Ron. Let me get to a question from Zach because it plays very well into this little storyboard right here. Zach asked the question, are the Flames better than last year with the roster that is set right now? And Pike wrote about that today at flamesnation.ca. And there's the title. Yeah, the Flames are different, but are they better than they were last year? And my answer to that question is, I guess the answer would be, I don't know, but I can give you kind of what my handicap is. My handicap is they're better at forward. I think the acquisition, the addition of Blake Coleman, without really any significant subtractions up front, that makes them better. Coleman coming in makes them deeper, makes them better. And if Sean Monahan has a bounce back year, then it makes them even that much better. But even if not, I mean, Coleman makes them deeper, better. So I think they are better at forward than they were last year. On the blue line, they're worse. Let's be honest. No disrespect to Nikita Zadorov or Eric Branson, but losing Mark Giordano leaves a massive hole to be filled, a gigantic void on the blue line, and nobody that they've brought in can do what Giordano did or play the minutes that he did. And to expect Zadorov to be that would be unfair because he's not going to be. To expect Goodbranson to be that, no, it's not going to happen. They're going to need a number of things to happen, and they're going to need. To me, there's 3 non-negotiable things that have to happen on the blue line. Tanev has to be as good as he was last year. Hanifin has to be as good as he was last year, and maybe, hopefully, even be a little bit better because he's still young and developing. That would be even better, but has to be as good as he was last year, and both those guys were great for the Flames last year. And Rasmus Andersson needs to take a step forward. I wrote about that late last week at Flamesnation. The Flames 100% need a bounce back from Rasmus Andersson. He struggled last year in his first year as a full-time top 4 defenseman, and they need him to be significantly better than what we saw from him last year. So those 3 things, if they all happen, if Tanev's as good, if Hanifin's as good, if Andersson has the bounce back the Flames need him to have, then I think the Flames can withstand the Mark Giordano departure without taking a big step back. If those things don't happen, if Andersson does not have a bounce back year, then I'm a little worried about what this blue line looks like, and I'm worried about their ability to fill the hole that Mark Giordano leaves on the blue line. What else we got here? To the comments. Robert, what are 3 things about this roster that make you excited for the Flames? Okay, on the spot, Coleman, I think Coleman is going to be a glove-like fit on this team, or has the potential to be. And I think Coleman is going to help in the two-way game. I think Coleman is going to help them produce goals. I just think he'll be a great fit with this coach, with this roster. I think you can play him with anybody. He's interchangeable. So Coleman is exciting for me. Noah Hanifin, the progression from him, he has taken steps every year, small, large, depending on the year, but he has taken steps every year to be a better defenseman and has gotten better each year in the NHL. Took his biggest ever step from 1920 to 2021. Hanifin was dynamite this past year. And if he can take even a small step, that's good news for the Flames. So Hanifin's exciting for me. And I'll give you number 3, Jacob Markstrom. Markstrom had a tough first year with the Flames. After a great start, things went off the rails. He finished at a .904 save percentage, well below the expectations, well below what the Flames were hoping from him at a $6 million cap hit and a 6-year deal. But Markstrom is motivated. He is fired up. He was extremely unhappy with himself with last year. I think Markstrom's has the potential to have a really, really big bounce back season. So there's 3 things. There are 3 things for me, Robert. Coleman, Hanifin, Markstrom would be for me. James writes for his own sake. I hope Shillington is traded soon. He deserves a shot somewhere. Here's a topic. It took this long on Flamesnation Live to get into it. Here's a juicy topic from Lou. I hope the Flames have closed the door on the Eichel potential trade. Would cost the Flames too much, and there's no guarantee Eichel will ever be able to play up to his potential after his neck surgery. Oh boy, where are we on Jack Eichel? Where is the league on Jack Eichel? Where are the Sabres on Jack Eichel? Will and I talked about it on the big show. Sorry, pointed the wrong way. On the big show, there we go. We talked about it on the big show earlier this week. Is Eichel going to have to go back and play games for the Sabres before he gets traded? the way this thing is gone would not surprise me one bit if that's the way it has to go. It is far more of a real possibility now that Eichel has to play games with Buffalo before a trade gets made. And as it stands right now, with Goodbranson coming in at $2 million, with Stone coming in on his deal, with Richardson coming in on his deal, and them not having, and then the Dubé and Valimaki signings from last month, there's not a lot of room left. They can't bring in Jack Eichel without having Monahan or Tkachuk or Gaudreau going the other way, right? So now, if you're bringing in Eichel as the Flames, you're not getting him until who knows when, whether it's the neck fusion or the disc replacement. You're not getting Eichel for a little while. I don't know. I don't know where the Flames are on that. I had heard as of a few weeks ago that there was still dialogue between Calgary and Buffalo, but that's like going on 3 weeks ago or more. And now all these signings have filtered through. I don't know. I don't know where things are. Maybe they have moved on. I don't know for sure. But that is a fascinating one. Where are the Flames? Where is the league on Jack Eichel? Training camp starts next week. The season's a month away. Eichel still needs to have the surgery and then needs to recover, rehab. The disc replacement, if successful, is a shorter recovery time than the neck fusion is, but it's still not a minor procedure. Like, there's going to be recovery time. Interesting, Lou. Interesting. Let's go rapid fire a few more before we wrap up today's edition of Flames Nation Live. Ron says, who's getting the C? I don't know. If it were me, I'm going Tanev. I give it to Tanev. I would say that, he's here for 3 more years. He embodies so much of what a captain's supposed to be in this league. So I would say Tanev. I think other potentials would be Lucic, Backlund maybe. But I would go Tanev if it's me. That's who I would give the C to. JF, all these fourth-line signings are not the best, but better than the Levo, Simones, etc. from last year. Fair. I think they're all, even Pitlick, Lewis, all those guys, upgrades for sure on that. And even with bringing Stone and Goodbranson in, I think it's better than where they were with Nesterov last year. I will say that. Charles, can Sutter resist playing Markstrom 68 games this year? Will and I just talked about that on the big show today. It's a good question. And all of that comes down to Dan Vladar. Like, what is Vladar? Is he a guy that they can count on for 20, 25 starts? If that's the case, well, then you're down to 57, 60 in that range for Markstrom if Markstrom's healthy all year. But Vladar, I'm quite interested in him. I'm quite optimistic about him. But until we see him as a full-time NHL backup, we don't know. The potential is there. The AHL numbers are dynamite. What he did in Boston last year on a very, very limited kind of audition, positive -1 game. But we don't know. We don't know. And that's a really big question this year. So can he resist? Yes, but a big part of that's going to be what they're getting behind him. Good question, Charles. This from Robert. You mentioned on 960 the Flames had Richardson and Goodbranson already signed a while ago. What was the strategy behind the Flames not announcing those deals when they made them earlier in the offseason? Yeah, like I had heard that the Flames had basically agreed on Goodbranson for 3 weeks or so prior to the news being out there. Richardson, when he joined Will on the big show, kind of chuckled and said, yeah, it had been in the works for a while and it had kind of been decided on for a while. My guess, and this is why, again, this is just a guess, but I wonder if the Eichel stuff was still on the table, and you're waiting for that to get put to bed, and maybe that has been put to the side for now, and that's why some of these signings are starting to trickle through. Like Stone, I think, was basically we kind of thought that was done in May, and basically Michael told us when he joined us on Friday that nothing was done, but it had kind of been. They had kind of informed him that, yes, the interest remains. Don't sign elsewhere. The interest remains. We still want to circle back, that type of thing. That's just my guess, Robert. I don't know that for sure, but that is That is my guess in terms of maybe why these things have trickled out the last few days as opposed to not being announced a number of weeks or months ago. Great stuff on the comments. It's good to have everybody back. It's good to be back. Did you notice our fancy little opening video? Want to thank my buddy James Dorashuk for putting that together. That looks great. Our new opening video on Flamesnation Live. And don't forget, we're brought to you each and every show by our friends at DoorDash, where you can still, if you're just joining us, get in on the code. If you're going to use DoorDash for the first time, FNLiveDD. Use the promo code FNLiveDD, and you're going to get 25% off your first order and free delivery. Check it out on DoorDash. Thanks for sticking by with us. Thanks for coming by for our first edition of a new season. Join Pike and I on Friday. I think we will do an edition of Flamesnation Live. We'll do it on Friday night, if not on Saturday, one of those 2 days. We'll do them closer to the weekend. Pike will be back with us. Be well. Enjoy the rest of your Tuesday. We will talk to you a little bit later on this week. Flamesnation Live is back, brought to you by DoorDash. Be safe. Be kind to one another. Thanks for stopping by, everybody.